Hello, this is Mike with Atlantis Constructors. We're out at Bellevlino, Building 10 front side. Today is May 18th. It's about noon. Gonna give you a little update on what's going on out here, some of the things we found. So in order to do that, somebody's gonna have to get up on that scaffolding. So I guess that's gonna be me. So give me a minute while I climb up this thing. We'll start taking a look at what we got. Actually, we could start down here on this first floor. You can see that what we're doing right now is popping out the windows, the old windows, and replacing some of the bottom plates that were molded up, so that we can do the regular window installation. We're going to put in the old windows back in right now before we do that, just to temporarily get this done. So let's take a look up at the second floor and go over some of the stuff we're finding there. Well, here's something already. You can kind of see these corners here. We've gone over them before, but the kind of replacement that's going to be necessary for these, putting in a new 4x4, replacing some of these plates here, and getting around this building so that we can get this thing shored up correctly. We've left quite a bit of the plywood on here, things that are looking like they're in pretty good shape. Of course, in some areas going up, we replaced some things and left some of the minor dry wadded wood intact. You can see the green wood, that's what we've replaced. And you can see some of this other wood that is still okay, just kind of a minor discoloration on it, but still structurally okay. We're leaving that in place. Come down here, we see we're working on one down here. Probably going to need to replace a few of these. Got a little bit of damage, termite and wood rot. Probably want to replace those, but we're going to look for approval from the association before we do that. These legs right here, I would recommend replacing. That probably shouldn't happen. So, but again, we are going to wait for approval. I know a lot of times people see us replacing things and maybe they don't see this particular part. Maybe they see further up the line a little bit, and when we replace the whole thing, they say, well, why did you do that? And the reason is because it's just a lot faster and simpler to pop out the whole thing and put another piece in there than rather trying to scab something in, which then we'll have to hurricane strap together, which will cost even more time and money. So just easier to pop in a brand new piece. But overall, you can see that water has gotten into these buildings and created some rot, and we are replacing things, trying to leave some of the stuff that might look cosmetically bad but is not actually too terrible. Leave those in place. All right, let's walk around here. See this area right here is pretty spongy. We'll probably end up needing to replace that piece. I know the plastics on it might be hard to see in the video. Here's something to go over. So in the areas where obviously this building was worked on in the past, because you have part OSB and part plywood. So this is actually the old plywood here. So it's in good shape for the most part, as long as there's no rotting. But what they did was they did a cosmetic fix, and they never really fixed the leaking issues with the windows or other or other areas where they're leaking. So behind that is still a time bomb of rotten stuff. They just covered it over, basically, you know, the old lipstick on the pig. So that is why we're checking them. If we find areas that are pretty good, what we'll do is we'll just cut out a space here so that we can scab in new plywood and not have to rip off a whole piece. So in this instance, you can see there was a little bit of water damage going down, but the wood is still in good shape. It's just cosmetic. So we're gonna leave that like it is, and we'll scab in a new piece of plywood once we replace the window. So in that way we can save a little bit of money for you guys, and make this a little bit more budget friendly, you know, because if there's nothing really wrong, we don't want to try and come in here and fix it. You can see the same thing over here. Plywood's up. Plywood looks like it's pretty good. We don't see any wood rot, so we are just scabbing that out. You can see there are a couple places we've scabbed in a couple pieces, and you can see below that why we did that. This is actually the floor of this ceiling slash floor of the second floor. So there's not really too much we can do about that without doing a huge amount of work, and it's something we would probably try and fix or tackle from the inside of the building once we got these repairs done, if there were an issue. Ripping up the carpet or tile or whatever's in there, and trying to reframe from the inside to support that floor or ceiling, which we've been inside and there doesn't seem to be any deflection or problem on the inside. So we're hoping it's just this exterior part that was exposed. And you can see how the water just traveled all the way down, came through here. See the discoloration on this. Still good on that header, just a little discoloration. So we'll keep going around here. Take a look. Here's some damage. You can see we've replaced the bottom plate there on that window, and we've got a little termite damage in here. It's, you know, there's one piece that I might consider replacing. The other pieces are just probably the first quarter inch or so, dry rot and termite damage. You can see that we've got the new plywood again here. Like I said, this is a perfect example right here of what we're talking about. So you've got this piece of plywood, and this piece of plywood is perfect. You know, it's looking good. We ripped the stucco off it. There's no visible damage on this plywood. Maybe a slight discoloration right here. Of course, that could be from this tar paper on there. However, if you look up, you can see that water damage and termite damage goes down. And you can see that it probably extends, or definitely does. You can feel the mush in here down below this. How far, we don't know. So that's where we get into ripping off a piece of plywood, and maybe they say, well, that piece of plywood looked perfectly good, why are we ripping that off? Well, we need to see what's down there, and once we rip this piece of plywood off, we can't reuse it, you know, because of all of the nailing holes. It basically becomes garbage. So that is an expense, but it's something that we feel is necessary. And again, we need to get board confirmation that they're confident in what we are doing out here and understand this process, because to the untrained eye, I can understand why, if you see this piece of plywood sitting on the ground, you would say, why the heck did you pull that off? Well, here's our reasoning. So we're not doubting that there could be some good sheets of plywood out here, but one, they need to be removed so we can see what's going underneath if we have a problem like that, and two, they are not reusable. So that creates, you know, little expense there. See over here, we replaced a corner. Sorry, the plastic's on. I want to rip it off in case we get some rain, which of course we need with this drought, but you know, that's what happens. As I rip all the plastic off, then the rain comes. And don't worry, we'll be getting more updates out here too. So when we start resheathing this thing, we'll see it all exposed, and I'll be able to, you know, get you some better looks at this. And I know you've had quite a few videos already, so you probably have, or may even be sick of looking at the front of this thing. This is the corner of the building over here. It's a little iffy, you know, a little spongy. The board itself looks like it's in good shape, but again, that's what we're talking about, is if you can put your finger on it and push it and it mushes a little bit, it probably, or it doesn't probably, it needs to be replaced and repaired. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the update, and we'll be looking forward to getting an email from the board, Bella Building 10, about how they feel about the improvements we're doing and their approval to move forward with the repairs that we've shown out here. That's it, and we'll keep you updated. Thank you.